Hong Kong sees a 10-centimeter rise in tide levels because of the tsunami. And China and the U.S. to work towards extending the deadline for new tariffs on each other. The Hong Kong Observatory issued a tsunami notice this afternoon while noting that the tidal surge's impact to the city is minimal. The tsunami triggered by the 8.8 magnitude earthquake off Russia reached Hong Kong at around 5 p.m. The observatory's monitoring station in Quarry Bay saw the water level exceed the normal tide level by around 10 centimeters. Professor Zhang Jian of the Department of Earth Sciences at the University of Hong Kong says being swept by just 30 centimeters of floodwater can make adults lose balance, and past 50 centimeters is a force to be reckoned with. He added that the quake's energy was released southeastwards towards the Pacific Ocean, including Hawaii and New Zealand, but Hong Kong is on the other side.
The tsunami will be slight, and the tsunami height will be 0.5 meters or less above the normal tide. On records, a similar case happened in 1952. At that time, a magnitude 9 earthquake happened in Kamchatka, triggering a 0.15 meters of tsunami in Hong Kong.
Tropical storm Koumei made landfall in the port city of Zhoushan in Zhejiang province in the early hours of today. Shanghai, also bracing for the storm, has evacuated more than 280,000 people as a safety precaution. In anticipation of Koumei making another landfall near Shanghai tonight, the city has issued red alerts for rain, thunderstorms, and typhoons. To prepare for possible flooding, railway authorities have suspended or slowed train services, and transport hubs have stacked sandbags. So far, over 280,000 people have been evacuated and are taking shelter at emergency centers. Authorities earlier urged caution as the coasts of Shanghai and Zhoushan could face a dual threat from a tropical storm and a tsunami triggered by today's earthquake near Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. China and the United States have agreed to work towards extending a deadline for new tariffs on each other. This after 2 days of talks in Stockholm, which concluded on Tuesday. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent described the talks as very fulsome 2 days with a Chinese delegation.
We reiterated to them, we don't want to decouple. We just need to de-risk with certain strategic industries, whether it's the rare earths, semiconductors, medicines, and we talked about what we could do together to get into balance.
Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng said a stable, healthy, and sustainable China-U.S. economic and trade relationship serves not only the two countries' respective development goals, but also contributes to global economic growth and stability. The talks in Stockholm unfolded as U.S. President Donald Trump mulled plans to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Many see this potential summit as the one to lock in any major agreements between the two global powers. When asked about whether the meeting would go ahead, Trump said that Xi wants to meet, and Trump himself looks forward to the meeting, which he speculates would take place before the end of the year. Russian bombs hit a prison in Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia region on Tuesday, killing at least 16 inmates and wounded more than 90 others. Another attack in the Dnipro region destroyed a medical facility, resulting in 3 deaths. This as U.S. President Donald Trump set a 10-day deadline for Moscow to end its conflict with Ukraine. The prison windows were blown out by the explosions, and many prisoners who were injured had to be treated outside the destroyed building. In Dnipro, a 3-story structure and its nearby hospital were hit by Russian missiles. While most of the patients were evacuated, 3 people were killed, including a 23-year-old pregnant woman. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said overnight Russian strikes had hit 73 cities, towns, and villages. Meanwhile, Trump made clear that Russia has 10 days from today to reach a ceasefire agreement. This gives Moscow until August 8th to reach a deal or face steep tariffs or sanctions from the U.S. And still ahead, the British Prime Minister says the UK will recognize the Palestinian state unless Israel agrees to a ceasefire in Gaza. Over 80 people arrested in connection with bank fraud and money laundering involving some $40 billion. And the world's largest perfume museum now in trial run in Guangzhou. Welcome back. The United Kingdom will recognize a Palestinian state in September unless Israel agrees to a ceasefire in Gaza, allows the UN to bring in aid, and takes other steps towards long-term peace. Authorities say the worst-case scenario of famine is currently playing out in Gaza, warning there will be widespread death if no immediate action is taken. This as the UN urged Israel to commit to a two-state solution in a bid to end one of the world's longest conflicts. Tracy Furness has more.
Scores of Palestinians lined up at a charity kitchen in Gaza's southern city of Khan Yunis Tuesday, hoping for a share of whatever meal they could get for the entire day. This woman said, "The situation is catastrophic. We don't get anything through land or air or sea. If we were not in need, we would not have to come to charity kitchens. We used to live a life in which we'd bake and cook our own food in our homes." In the town of Zawada, people risked their lives rowing, running and swimming into the sea to retrieve whatever they could from aid airdrops which landed in the water. This man said, "Half of the people drowned in the sea and the tea bag is all soaked in water. It's not usable. The flour bag too was drenched. You open the crossing for us, for aid to enter. Don't drop like this. It's humiliating." The UN World Food Programme says only about half of the aid it has requested to enter Gaza is reaching the territory after Israel eased restrictions on entry over the weekend.
So the challenge that I have is that while we're doing everything that we can to actually respond to the current wave of starvation in Gaza, the conditions that we have are not sufficient to actually make sure that we can break that wave. I've never seen a level of despair in terms of how people are now starving, how rate of malnutrition are now in Gaza. Never.
Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump told reporters while travelling back to Washington from Scotland on Air Force One that he and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer never discussed a two-state solution for Israel and the Palestinians.
We never did discuss it, and we have no view on that.
This as Starmer called ministers together for a rare summertime cabinet meeting to discuss recognising a two-state solution.
I can confirm the UK will recognise the State of Palestine by the United Nations General Assembly in September unless the Israeli government takes substantive steps to end the appalling situation in Gaza, agree to a ceasefire and commit to a long-term sustainable peace.
Tracy Furness, TVB News.
This year marks the 45th anniversary of Vanuatu gaining independence from joint British and French colonial rule, and today is its Independence Day. The South Pacific nation celebrated the occasion with a military parade. Samantha Lee tells us more.
The military ceremony took place at Independence Park in Port Vila, the capital of Vanuatu. Vanuatu, a South Pacific nation which had been colonized by the United Kingdom and France since the early 20th century, declared independence in 1980. The country celebrates its Independence Day on 30th of July each year. President Nikanike Bravo attended a military march by the ground force, naval and youth uniformed groups. Gun salutes were also conducted before the national flag raising ceremony. In attendance was former Hong Kong Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying and Lee Ming-gang, China's ambassador to Vanuatu. Leung, who is doing humanitarian work there, said their performances were impressive and fun. The Independence Day is a public holiday and many residents came to watch the military ceremony. Some of them dressed in colors similar to the island's national flag.
I'm very happy, I'm very proud to be in Vanuatu. It's very special, it's a very special week for us, and we celebrate the freedom today. It brings everybody together.
The celebration also includes singing and dancing, as well as fireworks at night. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Police have arrested 82 people aged between 19 and 78 in connection with a triad group in Hong Kong. The syndicate allegedly used a trustee service company to launder nearly $40 billion over the past 2 years and defrauded banks of over $1 billion in loans. Police seized a large amount of cash, luxury watches, liquor, and jewelry. The force launched the investigation after identifying the syndicate's suspected ringleader, who has alleged links to illegal gambling, prostitution, drug trafficking, and loan sharking activities, dating back over 2.5 years. The 44-year-old suspected syndicate leader have reportedly laundered $40 billion since 2022 and transferred the funds into personal accounts and used the money to purchase virtual currencies. The ringleader allegedly defrauded banks to secure 69 loans through a trading company and used the money to repay loans and fund his lavish personal lifestyle. The world's largest perfume museum opened in Guangzhou earlier this month. Visitors can experience about 300 unique scents from all over the world. The museum hopes to honor and promote fragrance culture while contributing to Guangzhou's tourism industry. Samantha Low reports from Guangzhou.
Stepping into the museum, a perfume-making room inside the Edfu Temple comes to view. The temple is believed to be built in the 2nd century BCE in Egypt. The priest is said to use ingredients like pine resin and myrrh to create kifi, a traditional scent that was offered to God. Visitors can smell the scents from such setups using these instruments in the museum. The time-traveling journey of these fragrances requires much effort.
When we do the curation, we also went to Egypt to search the original scenario, how the priest actually remake the incense. We asked our perfumer to read actually all the articles and books with us to recreate this old formula. So this is how we perceive the formula in the scene that now our audience can smell.
The museum also demonstrates different tools used by people to smell fragrances throughout history. For example, the silver ball used by the beloved consort Yang Guifei in the Tang Dynasty has a special design feature.
It is very popular among the time within these celebrities and young ladies. They will put them in the carriage and also in their beds, in their chambers. When they put the incense in the little bowl, in the middle of the bowl, actually it can always keep balance. It will not fall away, no matter how you move it.
The museum also introduced digital technology to help visitors find their own fragrance DNA. After tapping the card and smelling the fragrances, visitors can score points on the touchscreen, and then they can retrieve their own fragrance report afterwards. The director hopes that the museum can become a central spot for fragrance lovers worldwide.
We want our audience to come in to realize the heritage in our blood, that the fragrance culture is actually has been in the history for over 1,000 years. We hope eventually one day we will become a signature spot for Guangzhou and even China.
The museum is in a trial run. The ticket price is 98 yuan during this period. Samantha Low, TVB News, Guangzhou.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.